Good morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. It's barely morning, but it is still morning. It is dreary, rainy, drippy outside. I will be inside. Yeah. Good morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. See how dreary it is? I had to put my lamp up right away. We get morning sun here, so we always have to have the lamp on, after like 10 o'clock in the morning. So that's not necessarily an indicator, but I'm not getting a lot of light from my window, which is right here. Anyway, it's dreary and rainy outside, which we expected. In fact, I think we didn't get as much rain as we expected when we were on our Zoom call yesterday. Thank you, everybody who came. We had such a good time. But Marianne and Aquila and Karen are all down in the, south of Pennsylvania border. So two of them are in Maryland and one of them's in Delaware. Sounded like they were getting a lot more rain than we were getting. So we'll see. But it's raining pretty steady right now. Keep your fingers crossed. We've done several things that we hope will mitigate the water in our basement when it rains. So I guess we'll find out. Anyway. So, lovely Zoom yesterday. It really is a fun event. Our next one is like the 28th of October, which I'm reminding myself I have to go in and change the date on the thread in Ravelry. If you can come, that would be great. Anyway, that's the day the time changes in Europe to standard time. We call it standard time. I don't know what it's called in Europe. But I think in the United States it doesn't change until November. But it changes that night. So when we have our Zoom at 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time in the United States, it will still be daylight time in Europe, because it won't change until like 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Anyway, you guys all know that. So that was fun. So last night we watched Sherlock Holmes, Aura and I. Dennis stayed for part of it, and we watched two. We watched The Bohemian Affair and The Dancing Man, and she seemed to enjoy it. And then apparently Penn State was playing on TV, so she went upstairs to watch Penn State football. All Penn State fans in my family. My parents taught at Penn State, and Dennis's family all went to Penn State, and he and his sisters went to Penn State, and they're all Penn State fans. I have no idea what the outcome of that game was because I don't watch football. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. So we watched some TV, and then I read a book, and then I couldn't sleep. I didn't fall asleep till like 5 o'clock this morning. We got a phone call, robocall from the pharmacist that was prescriptions ready at 9 o'clock. So anyway, I already told Dennis that I was taking the day off. He laughed and said, how will that be different than today? I said, it's really hard to tell the difference between my days off and my not days off. Although I do have a plan for today. I'm going to make tomato soup. I have tomatoes in my garden. I'm going to go out in the rain and pick my tomatoes and make homemade tomato soup, which I have never done, but I found a couple recipes. And I thought I was going to make gazpacho, which I love and make regularly, but it's a hot soup day. So I don't know what I'm going to do with all those cucumbers he bought me, but and I'm going to be very careful with them on the mandolin, because that's when I took that chunk out of my See that goofy thing? I don't know if you can even see it. That's how my chunk out of from my mandolin ended up healing itself. But I don't know what I'm going to do with cucumbers. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm going to make, that's the second time I've said that in this video, and I haven't said it in a while. I don't know what the story is there. Yeah, tomato soup. And Dennis is making eggs chimay. We had those, I don't know, last week, I guess. It's basically like a very fancy deviled egg. And I think I told you this before. There's a duxelle, which is a combination of mushrooms, and I have no idea what else. That's delicious. And he made a big batch of that yesterday, and we had omelets with duxelle in them and fancy sauce on top. And so that's basically the basis of egg chimay. So so he mixes the yolk with the duxelle and refills it like a deviled egg, and then with this gorgeous sauce on top. So he's making that for starters, and then we're going to have soup and salad for dinner. Homemade tomato soup. Should be good, but I have to process some tomatoes. And yeah, so that's my plan for today. I went to bed at the same time I always go to bed, but I had read right up to my book finished right before I went to bed, which is not the best for me. And so I was just laying there thinking about all kinds of stuff. So yeah, so I didn't sleep well. So having a day off today is a good idea for me, even if I'm going to make tomato soup. That's not that big of a deal. The biggest deal is processing the tomatoes, which is peeling them and seeding them. Because one of the recipes used one of those food mills, so that you just threw the whole tomato in with the skin and all, and the stem, not the stem, but the, part that you always cut out. And, and then when you were done, you put it through this mill, which purees it and leaves the skins and all the seeds and things behind. But I'm not going to do that. I don't mind a chunky tomato soup to start with. Dennis has a stick blender, and so I'm going to get all that stuff out. So then we're just going to stick blend it and add cream and have cream of tomatoes. That's my plan. I'll stop talking about it. But I don't really have anything else to talk about. I did knit during the Zoom and worked on Isabel's hood and got a good idea for a pattern from Valerie for Kim's hat. So I might buy that pattern and make Kim's hat out of that pattern. But I have to look at it and see what weight of yarn it uses. Because I have at least a DK, but it might be a worsted for her hat, so we'll see. But anyway, so I'm thinking about knitting. It's on my mind, so that's a good thing. And, yeah, I'm not sure if we'll be going to walk the dogs today. We did get a walk in yesterday. It was only, just misting, and in the hour before the Zoom call, so we were able to walk the dogs, and that's good. Anytime we can walk the dogs and Pearl gets to pee outside is a good day. Because, rainy weather and thunder make her nervous, so we like her to be empty, if you catch my drift. Okay, this is enough already. But meanwhile, all is well here. We are just having a bit of a lazy day. It's Sunday, it's raining, it's, we didn't have a fire yesterday. I made sure that we have all the good and dry ingredients for a fire that are dry in the garage. So maybe we'll have a fire today with soup. Soup and a fire? Sounds like a lovely evening. It will be our first fire of the season. I think we don't typically have our first fire of the season before we go to the Outer Banks, but, I could look at my Instagram because I always Instagram a picture of the first fire of the season. so I could figure it out. I'm not on Instagram a lot, but you know, traditions. Traditions, right? Traditions. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm rambling. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please. Oh, and I coughed a little bit. I still have a little bit of phlegm, but this is the second night. Oh, see, if I took my NyQuil, I might have slept better. Second night I haven't taken any cold medication to sleep, and it wasn't coughing that kept me up. So, anyway, please take good care of yourselves. Please, please stay safe and stay sane.